the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is downright hot. Summer is here, and we welcome all of you into it. I guess what I would say is get out of the heat, kick back, and enjoy the next 2 hours of our show, and then get back out in the heat.
It feels good inside the Ford Ice Center today. I'll say that.
It does, doesn't it?
Walked in here and was like,
yeah,
whew.
Hockey. So, Billy, yesterday, as you and anybody who listened or watched the show, we made a big to-do about MLB Nashville requesting that the state of Tennessee give them the property where the old state prison is located near the John Toon Airport. I have emailed the governor's press secretary, Elizabeth Johnson, basically saying, I am emailing you to ask if the state has made a decision on the request or if it's even being considered. Hopefully we will get some sort of a reply to that in the days to come. I'm not holding my breath.
This is interesting stuff. I mean, do you think in terms of getting closer to baseball coming to Nashville, yesterday's news got any closer?
What we put out there?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'll tell you what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is I know as early as about 2.5 years ago, I heard from several what I'll call MLB sources, people that know a hell of a lot more than I do, that Nashville is number one on MLB's list. Okay? But there are other cities out there trying as well. And some of those cities now are way ahead of us because they've got a city government backing it. Our city government, and I understand, listen, this is not me being critical of Mayor Freddie O'Connell because we've spent a ton of money subsidizing the Titans. So I get that. Our city doesn't really have the money. But I will also say that Freddie could look a little more supportive of sort of the concept of, hey, if they want to talk, we may not have a lot of money, but there's certainly other things we can do that would help the situation.
Right.
So at the moment, we don't have a stadium plan. MLB Nashville can put all those renderings of drawings and all that crap out there. It doesn't mean a damn thing. You know, if you listen to them, the stadium was going to be at TSU. Well, it was never going to be at TSU. Who knows where it's going to be, but it ain't going to be at TSU. I think we can all pretty well agree on that. So we don't have a stadium plan. At the moment, we don't have an owner. And let me say this. We didn't have an owner when it came to the Predators. Craig Leopold was a Wisconsin native. So leagues oftentimes will say to a city, we really want you, but we know you don't have an owner. So how about this person? Okay, it's not insurmountable, but more and more as this goes along, if Major League Baseball today announced we've got all our stuff together, unless Bill Haslam stepped up, what have we really got?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. To me, it's on average 10 years away, if that.
I don't know that it's 10 years away now.
Do you think it's a little bit sooner or later?
Yeah, it's got to be.
More like 7 to 8.
Manfred has no. I'm thinking more like 4 or 5.
4 or 5 years away?
Yeah, because he's put it out there that he wants this done by the time he leaves office. And frankly, I might be one of those people that say, listen, if you want to leave office today, don't let the door hit you in the butt. I'm not a big Manfred fan.
You're done with him.
No, I didn't. No, but I'm not off of what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
The guy's a labor negotiator. I don't think he knows anything about baseball. I think we've been saddled. There are some things he's done that I like, but there's some others. This put the runner at second to start the 10th inning.
That's a little ridiculous.
It feels like a clown show.
Yeah.
Anyway, Billy, if MLB came out today and said, we're ready, unless Haslam steps up, this MLB Nashville group, they can put out, and they put out really nice correspondence. Their emails are very well done. That's not going to get you a franchise.
No, but you're right. They've got to figure out that Florida Marlins issue, Miami Marlins, per se, the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, you've got, I asked this to Danny a few weeks ago, you've got 2 teams playing in minor league ballparks.
Right.
That's not good for the league. So until they figure out those situations, then you can go forward with MLB Nashville.
But in the long term, it could be favoring Nashville because we clearly today don't have our stuff together. We don't have answers to anything. We've got a city government that's lukewarm at best. We don't have an owner unless somebody knows something I don't, or Haslam decides tomorrow to say, I'm in. And we don't have a stadium site. Now, we've got somebody putting renderings out there of stadiums that are dust in the wind, and that's all we got. That is it.
One more on this topic. I know we got to get to the update,
wow.
but
a question from Billy.
Yeah. If you had your druthers, I guess that's how you phrase this, is it an expansion team or one of either Tampa, Chicago White Sox? I think the A's are probably obviously not moving to Nashville, but is it an expansion team or a team relocating?
Okay, let's get to the White Sox thing, because Dave Stewart found out pretty definitively that Major League Baseball owners are not about to let the White Sox move from Chicago to Nashville. That's not meant as a knock at Nashville. It's meant at the priority they place on having those 2 franchises in Chicago.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen. On the question you've asked, I don't really care. The Rays are a really solidly run organization, given how little that their ownership has helped them. The people that try to make decisions and make do with less than everybody else, they've really been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'd be fine if it were the Rays. I'd also be fine if it's expansion.
Yeah.
I love baseball.
By it. And I wonder on the likelihood, which is more likely too. That's a Danny question, but
I would think it's expansion more likely, because this Tampa thing looks like they've got an exclusive negotiating period with this guy from Jacksonville. I don't think it means they're moving to Jacksonville. They could be moving to Orlando. I could see that. Their thing's really up in the air.
Yeah. Well,
it'd be a mess.
Yeah, this update's not going to be a mess, though.
Really? It's well done?
Well done today.
Well put together.
It is brought to you by X Golf in Nashville. Experience the future of golf and the world's most accurate golf simulator and elevate your game like never before. Book your tee time now at playxgolf.com. Don't miss out on their restaurant and bar. Check out their new location at 209 South Royal Oaks out in Franklin.
You know what I think?
What?
I think I would beat you.
I don't think so.
In a 9-hole competition.
In a 9-hole competition?
I think there's a real shot at it.
At X Golf?
No. I'm talking about outdoors.
Okay.
At one of our establishments. It's possible we need to
do that.
And maybe Kelly, could
Kelly would not be able to watch that.
I'm not as good a golfer as you. However, I think I can get in your head and cause issues.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. Kelly, he would be all up in my head.
I might invite him to be my caddy.
Gosh, that'd be awful. That would be pathetic.
Caddy, what do you think?
All right. We've got lots to get to in the update. NBA last night, Pacers win Game 6 and force a Game 7, 108-91. Obi Toppin, 20 points. Andrew Nembhard had 17. But I think the bigger stat is what Chet Holmgren and Lou Dort didn't do. They were non-factors. Holmgren and Dort combined for just 7 points. SGA was bad. He had 8 of the Thunder's 21 turnovers. But they did get some rest. SGA and the rest of the starters for the Thunder will be well rested for Sunday's Game 7. They sat out the entire fourth quarter when the Pacers had a 30-point lead. So that, if anything, is the silver lining here. But I'm wondering, do the Pacers have so much momentum now that they carry that over? I mean, it is in Oklahoma City, and their crowd is going to be rocking. But
I mean, I guess it's possible. In all honesty, and this is an ugly thing to say, I have no proof of it. OKC played last night like they want to win the whole title in front of their home fans. And, if that's what the mentality was, man, that is a dangerous game to play, because it's all great when you're ahead and you got a double-digit lead at home. But all of a sudden, there have been a couple of times in this series where Indiana has made a late surge on them, and all of a sudden, everybody gets a little tight.
This will be the first Game 7 in the NBA Finals since 2016. I had no idea it's
really
been that long.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, and I have no clue what's going to happen. I mean, I want to sit here and say that it's the Thunder's game, and they've got it. Like you said, they want to win it in front of their fans, but there's something about this Pacer team.
Yeah, they don't go away easy.
No. NHL.
By the way, we will have a play on that game.
Okay.
And if you noticed, we're one game under 500.
So
there has been a
big
massive surge.
Development.
It is a development.
Things are happening in the betting world.
The community is abuzz.
Yes. We'll see if that reflects today's callers. Maybe we get some callers. In the NHL, TV ratings for the Stanley Cup Final declined from a year ago. An average of 2.5 million viewers watched on TNT, with 2.8 million tuning in for Game 6 when the Panthers clinched it. The overall number on cable is down from 4.1 million last year when the final was on over-the-air TV on ABC. So a little surprising. I mean, it was the same two teams in the final last year, yet it's down this year.
So the difference is ABC versus TNT, or is there more to it?
Well, that you make a good point. I didn't actually think a ton about that.
Because here's the thing.
Because if it's on ABC, people will be at home kind of channel surfing, and boom, there's ABC right there on the guide. But
if I'm the league, I'm a little bit concerned, because it was the two best teams, and everybody knew going in they were the two best teams.
Yeah.
The series until Game 6 had some terrific moments, and yet they had some test pattern numbers. It's concerning.
Yeah. It was the lowest since Tampa Bay and Montreal in the finals in 2021. So
wow.
Yeah, not great for the league. But maybe the other side is maybe you need a couple new teams, and we'll see what that means. This might be the biggest story in the update.
Then why wasn't it the first story?
Well, you got to get the scores out. You don't
have to. I mean, you're a reporter. If this is the best story, then it should be first.
Well, it's third.
So deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. In a landmark moment in college sports.
We got interns here. They need to learn the proper ways to do the update. Yes. If it's your best story, put it first.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, getting to the story. In a landmark moment in college athletics, one university has filed suit against another for the poaching of a player under contract.
Is that so?
Wisconsin and its NIL collective have filed a complaint in state circuit court against Miami over alleged tortious
interference.
What is that?
Well, it's basically, let me see if I can say this right. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but I try to play one. Tortious interference, Billy, is if you work at another station and you're under contract and I try to steal you, even though I know you're under contract to the other group. Go ahead and read the dictionary definition.
Tortious interference, a legal claim where one party intentionally interferes with a contract or business relationship between two other parties, causing harm to the plaintiff.
This interference must be wrongful or improper to be actionable.
But Wisconsin here, they're seeking unspecified financial damages and a declaratory judgment, deeming Miami's actions as wrongful for interfering with a binding revenue share contract between Wisconsin and Xavier Lucas, former defensive back who left the program in January to compete at Miami. And this obviously was a big decision in which he transferred without entering the portal and after signing the contract with the Badgers.
So some judge is going to have a really interesting case to deal with, because this is sort of a groundbreaking new ground in a cesspool of what has become college athletics.
I mean, there's a new story like this every week. And this is just the latest.
Maybe it will make schools think twice. Schools all over the place have been very reckless.
But we
in the
were
last
just talking
couple
about
of years.
You were just talking about this with the tampering, either early this week or last week. When is it going to come into the light? When is the school going to step up and do something? Well, now you've got it.
I mean, you could, Billy, you know as well as I do that at the end of certain football games, there are players on one side who go to players on another and say, my coach told me to tell you, man, if you're interested, we want you.
This could, if depending on what happens in the court here, this could be set a precedent.
I guess.
As we have seen. Okay, we got the College World Series finals this weekend. Starts tomorrow night in Omaha. Coastal Carolina players were asked about what they thought about LSU and what they, sort of admire potentially. It was kind of a weird question the way it's worded, but just take a listen here and see what the Coastal players had to say about LSU.
Your thoughts on LSU, what do you admire just as student athletes and fans of baseball? What do you like about the Tigers?
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
That'll end up in a
bulletin board.
Well, it'll end up on a big screen in a meeting.
I'm excited
because the coach will be yelling, "Who's with me?"
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun series, and it could be pretty chippy because you look at Coastal. They are the 5th, 6th year seniors. They're gritty. They're not the biggest guys. They don't have the most power. They're going to steal bases. They're going to bunt, and they're going to earn everything. Whereas LSU has all the NIL money. They've got 7 championships. They've got the cocky arrogance that has been pretty clear, actually. I mean, the way Jay Johnson. I'm not a big Jay Johnson guy. I think he's a really good coach, but the way he talks rubs me the wrong way a little bit. Now he can do that. He's got a national title under his belt. And they, as a program, as the leader of that program, you can do that typically. But this is going to be fun to see. There's going to be a lot of people rooting for Coastal. I'll just say that.
Oh, I think so. And I'm not sure they need it because I think they're better than LSU.
You think they're better?
I do think they're better. Yeah, I think they're going to win this series.
I'll say this. I think LSU wins because they didn't have to play Arkansas twice.
It sure helped them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting.
What else?
The Nashville Cats back in the news.
Yeah.
Michael Waltrip has joined the Cats ownership group. Michael Waltrip Brewing and the Cats have announced a strategic sponsorship and promotional partnership. So big stuff there.
Jeff Fisher will join us today at 4 o'clock. They have a playoff game in the opening round Sunday at 4:30, and that's up in Clarksville against the Southwest Kansas Storm. Anyway, Jeff will join us to start the 4 o'clock hour. After the break, we will meet up with former Vanderbilt basketball coach Jan van Breda Kolff. He's back in Nashville. We'll find out what he's up to next on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
For long-time Nashvillians, Jan Van Breda Kolff is a well-known commodity, former basketball coach at Vanderbilt. Before that, as a player, SEC Player of the Year, going back to 1974. Going back even farther before that, his father, Butch, was once the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And he is back in town and joins us by phone. Jan, how you doing?
All right, George, how you doing? You can't go back too much further. Neither one of us are alive.
You're right. That's true. Now, for those who don't know it, Jan Van Breda Kolff is a big San Francisco Giants fan. So let's get your take on the Rafael Devers trade.
Well, I have a lot of respect for Buster Posey. So kind of when he took over and he went out and got Adames and Verlander and then nothing else after that. And everybody said what's he going to do? It looked like he was going to wait and see how the season, evolved. And then when they saw that they had a chance to be a special team with their bullpen as the best in the MLB and also a good starting rotation, they went out and made this trade. Now, I don't follow the American League, so just like you don't follow the American League and you're just a Brave guy and I'm a Giant fan, but he's a great hitter and what they do from here will be interesting. And once Chapman gets back, they'll be a lot better.
I'm hoping once we get a bullpen, we'll be better, but we haven't got time for that. Jan, have you gotten to watch any of?
We'll make a trade with you.
Well, you know what? Because you've got plenty of bullpen, we have none.
Oh yeah.
Right. Have you gotten to watch any of this NBA series, the finals, which I think has been really entertaining?
It really is, and I've watched a little bit, and you look at the type of teams that you have here that are so well-rounded, and the game's just changed so much in the last couple of years where they're just playing so fast, and it's like chaos, but it's organized. And all the guys can take you off the dribble. All the big guys can step out and shoot threes. So it spreads the floor, makes it hard to defend that type of action. And Oklahoma City, as good as they are defensively and the way they can pressure and rotate and trap, they have a hard time doing that against Indiana because the ball moves so quickly. And, they just have a great offense. But the thing I've noticed most about the Pacers is each player embraces their role. And that's something that's really hard to do. And obviously a lot of the credit goes to Rick Carlisle because these guys, whether they start or come off the bench, they all participate in some area of the game. And whether it's rebounding defense or making threes, and one guy gets hot and they'll go with him for a while. But I just love the way they play. And Oklahoma City is, a great place to play at. And their crowd will inspire them just like the Indiana Pacer crowd inspired them last night.
Jane, I'm going to ask you one more basketball question, then we'll get into some of what you're up to these days. If I had said to you 5 years ago, listen, we both know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a very fine player. But if I had said to you, he will rise to the very top of the NBA, he will win a most valuable player award, would that have surprised you?
Oh, most definitely. I know when he was going into his senior year, he was a good player and, he committed to Florida. And then his senior year, he became a great player in high school and flipped and went to Kentucky because, Kentucky was the number one school at that time for the top players in the country. And then he lasted 1 year. But I know one thing, that there's there's no way that LA Clippers thought he was going to rise to that type of talent. But, he just knows how to get to where he wants to get to and raise up over you and has that, nice mid-range game. And he gets to the basket, draws fouls. I mean, he's a complete package. And I don't think anybody really saw it coming. And hats off to Sam Presti and Oklahoma City, because not only did they get him for Paul George, they also got Jay Williams in that same trade, Jalen Williams, I should say. So they got 2 All-Stars for a declining player in Paul George.
Jan, most people around my age or before think of you as a coach, and they'll probably always think of you as a coach. But you have really kind of centered in on something that I know a lot of people are worried about, and that is teenagers and mental health. Talk to me about where that started to get on your radar.
Well, I think that once I finished coaching, then I ran basketball camps, clinics, travel teams here in Nashville, and then kind of retired from everything and moved to Florida. And while I was there, I started to look at my life and the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and kind of had a revelation of life experience. And I said to myself, if I could do it all over again, I would do it this way. Well, I can't turn the hands back for time of myself, but I can for the other kids and help them not step on the same minefields that I did. So I talked to my athletic director at Pepperdine, which is a great human being, and he told me that Pepperdine University spends more money on the mental health for the freshman class than they do for the curriculum. So that was a pretty strong statement that colleges are spending an awful lot of money on mental health. And so I kind of came up with the theory, what can we do to help not let that situation continue, that pattern? Pepperdine's a great school and they're dealing with it. All schools are dealing with it. So I've kind of outlined an area of the 6th to the 8th grade, that's the middle school area, of trying to track those students by asking them 10 questions that I outlined that will help deal with the mental health crisis, which is basically spiritual, mental, and what's the other 2? I can't even, I always have them right on perfect. But the actual emotional and social. So the social aspect is really a strong one because of the internet. And now kids have all these unresolved issues that are inside them, and they're walking around with an invisible mask. So if I can help make them tell their story by being vulnerable, which I am, and humble and have humility of the mistakes I made, that allows for a comfortable conversation with the kids. And now they're able to talk to you in a very situation where they can reveal their problems. Because if we don't reveal their problems and we don't take care of them, they're just going to continue to go on to college and have these same problems or high school. So I want to go ahead and try to see if I can help these kids find their way and and help show them the light that they can go ahead and have a better life. And that's the way to do it, I think.
It seems like, or it feels like right now, that it's an underappreciated problem in our society. Is that true?
Yes, I think, we kind of look at the academics and we know how they deal with all the academics at school, certain mandated tests, and they have that type of situation where they have to answer to the state and make sure the kids are doing what they should be doing academically to move on to the next grade or to the next level. But from the emotional standpoint, the kids are really, struggling, whether it's an issue with their parents, an issue with their coach, an issue with their teacher, or their siblings, classmates, teammates, whatever it is. And it all happens for different reasons, but how do we get them to go ahead and overcome those challenges? When I was a sophomore and junior year in high school, my father became the Los Angeles Laker coach, and we moved all the way across the country, 3,000 miles away from Princeton. And here I was like a stud at that time in Princeton High School. Well, my sophomore year, the third or fourth practice, I dribbled into the gap, which was a signature move, try to draw another defender to me and make a pass, which I did. The kid didn't catch it. And the coach that was coaching me on the JV team said, "Who do you think you are, Elgin Baylor?" And Elgin Baylor was, one of the top 25 players of all time and played for the Lakers. Well, my sophomore year, I can't tell you one thing other than that one moment that lasted 5 seconds, and my whole year was lost, as was my junior year. So it doesn't take much for a kid not to be able to feel like they belong or they matter. And that one occasion took 2 years off my life. So there's all sorts of instances like that are going to occur. And how do we help these kids, not go south like I did? Maybe I was sensitive. Maybe I was, had a low self-esteem. I didn't get a lot of attention from my father. So all different things go into this. And that's what I like to help those kids be, let to hear their voice, let them tell their story, and see if I can be, a listener and help them, because I would have loved to have had that opportunity myself in my days when I was a young kid.
So, Billy, in the late 70s, a lot of people saw Magic Johnson, 6'8", point guard, could really handle the ball. And there were a lot of people, I've never seen anything like this. Well, in Nashville, Tennessee, they had, because Jan Van Breda Kolff was kind of Magic Johnson, 6'8", could handle the ball, could play anywhere on the court, and yet Magic got all the attention. Jan, you should have gotten some sort of royalties for it, because you really were doing that before he was.
Yeah, but to just be put in the same sentence, this Magic Johnson, I kind of blush and say you're really over-exaggerating my ability. I was that size, but I think, growing up, I was always average height. So I always played point guard. And it wasn't until my sophomore year in high school that they moved me to small forward, because I grew like 10 inches in high school. So I had point guard instincts my whole life until my sophomore year. And when Coach Bargatze, who came out to LA to recruit me, saw me play, the other team pressed us because we had the tallest team in the country that time, 6'3", 6'4" guards who couldn't dribble. So they would pressure us, and I would bring the ball up the court. So I remember the first time I talked to him, he said, "What do you want to play in college?" And I said, "Point guard." And he said, "That's exactly what I want to recruit you as." So it was hats off to him that he saw that ability in me, and I was able to be a point guard. And back then they didn't press and trap and do all those things as much. I was able to come down the court and choreograph what I thought would be best for the team at those moments. And, it was successful. But then after that and going into the NBA, I couldn't guard a point guard, and I probably couldn't dribble up the court like that. So I had to move to small forward after that. But Magic was so much better. And not only could he play the point guard, but he could score and he could do anything he wanted. And just to be said in the same sentence, I appreciate that. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to be calling in and say, "Come on, don't put him in the same sentence as Magic Johnson, please."
Billy, say hello to Jan Van Breda Kolff.
Jan, how you doing?
All right, Billy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Listening to you talk about, kind of your style of play and hearing George talk about it as well reminds me of the style of play that Mark Byington has established at Vanderbilt, where if you go to their roster, every player is listed as a point guard, and that's rare. I think he's the only college coach to have done that ever. But really, you look from 1 to 5, everybody can handle the ball, and you'll see that again this year. Talk a little bit about that and the skills that, in today's era of college basketball, but also at the pro level, you've got to be able to put the ball on the floor, even if you're a 6'10" center. Because you've got other players that you'll be playing against that are able to do that. So speak on that a little bit, and also overall what Mark Byington has been able to do at Vanderbilt, especially last year.
Well, I got to watch Mark and the team on TV. I wasn't here physically to watch them in Memorial, which would have been a great experience. But I've gotten to know him. I went to a practice at the end of the year, and he's just an excellent coach. He's a great communicator. He understands the game. He's a tactician to the nth degree. And just watching them practice and watching them play in the actual games, he's got such a great feel for offense and defense. And a lot of coaches are offensive coaches and others are defense, but he sees both sides of the ball, and he's great at that. And I love the way they play, and he recruits all those new players last year because of the portal, and now he's doing it again. So I love the way he plays, and listening to him at point guard, that's great, and he's unique. And as far as the actual game, the way it's played with the big guys, it used to be we had the Shaquille O'Neals and Will Chamberlain and those type of players would post up and be effective low post players, throw in, play inside out, and hope they double team and then pitch it back out for a 3-point shot. Well, now it's much more off the dribble and spacing. So it's 5 out, nobody in, and that allows everybody to drive and take your rim protector away from the basket. And then it makes the game exciting, and guards can drive in there without a big man ready to help. And all the big men have learned how to shoot 3-pointers. And obviously Jokic, the best big man around, really helped that style of play that he brought over from Europe to make that, a big part of the way the offenses are run now.
Jan, before we let you go, can Indiana win Game 7 in OKC?
Yes, they can. Will they? I'm not sure. I mean, there's something about the way Indiana plays. There's something about the way Rick Carlisle approaches the game that gives you that ability to think they can, which they did in Game 1. If Halliburton's, gets more healthy in these next 2 days, that will help them. But the crowd last night in Indiana was amazing, and Oklahoma City's even louder than that. So it definitely helps the home team. But if, they can hang in there that first half and get into that fourth quarter, and it's a close game, then I think the Pacers can win, because the pressure's on Oklahoma City now. They had the best record by far in the league. They're playing at home, which they're great at. And I think there's a few people that are looking at how Indiana dissected them last night and saying, gee, these guys come off the bench like McConnell and Toppin are coming in firing and scoring. I mean, they have a lot of depth that they're utilizing in Indiana, and we'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be a great game.
It will be that. Jan, thank you for taking the time to come on with us. Hope you're enjoying it back in Nashville. We're enjoying having you back.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to being back, and hopefully some of my experiences, good and bad, will be helpful to this younger generation, and we can help have them see the light and what they can do to be more productive and hopefully help others as they go forward.
Amen. Thanks again.
Okay, buddy.
See you, Gene.
You're the man, George. Always have been.
Thank you. Same here. Okay, let's go to the break, Billy, and then I'm going to surprise you with an Indiana Pacer connection to Nashville that isn't Aaron Neesmith.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, PancoastBenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
We're all saying, no, they don't. Here. You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here. On ESPN 94.9. The Fan. And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
There's a new kid in town.
That's a new one for me.
Okay. So let's go back, Billy, to the summer of 1988. Young Jorge has resigned at Memphis State, and I have come home without a job. And the parental units are pissed. They're a one-trick pony. You need to get a job. Well, twice I turned down the chance to be a sports talk show host. And at the time, I thought, this is stupid. I'm not about to get into that. Little did I know, as time went on and I had no money, that this is going to be how I make my living. So whether I thought I did think it was stupid at the time. Anyway, my Memphis State team in late December of 87 had played the Kansas Jayhawk team with Danny Manning that ultimately was going to win the NCAA basketball tournament. I think I'm right that they beat Oklahoma in the finals that year. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I think
what year was that?
That would have been April of 88.
1988 national title?
Yeah, who'd they play?
Let's see. Kansas defeated Oklahoma.
Oklahoma had, I think, Wayman Tisdale. This is not necessarily great radio, but anyway, two big-time superstars. Wayman Tisdale, Mookie Blaylock was also part of that. And I think Wayman Tisdale was involved in that. But anyway, Kansas wins the national title. One of Kansas's guards was Kevin Pritchard. Kevin Pritchard today happens to be the general manager of the Indiana Pacers. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. His father lived in Nashville and owned just a terrific promotion called Summer Lights. We don't have Summer Lights anymore, and that's a shame. It was down by the Metro Courthouse was where a lot of Summer Lights took place, and it was just a really cool deal that I loved going to. Well, Kevin Pritchard, with his parents in town, moves here, and he and young Jorge end up meeting up at the Green Hills Y.
The Green Hills Y.
Yeah. So anyway, the deal was that I ended up having to guard him, and at the time he was the quickest white guy I'd ever tried to guard. It didn't go well at all. He had foot speed, I had none.
It's like me trying to guard Darius Garland in high school.
Anyway, about 3 years ago, Will Perdue sets up a phone call and says to me, I've got somebody on the phone that wants to talk to you. And it was Kevin Pritchard. Kevin Pritchard, I said to him on the phone, I said, listen, I don't care whether you were Portland's general manager or you're the Indiana Pacers general manager, you will always be a 4-on-4 run and shoot alum. And that's what you'll always be. So deal with it. We had a good laugh.
See, I didn't know you were going Kevin Pritchard. I thought you were going Ben Shepherd.
No.
That's where I thought you were going.
No.
Who hit a big 3 at the third quarter buzzer.
He did. He sure did. Anyway, Kevin Pritchard was the one who told the story years ago that's been stolen by a few friends of mine. He was, for a while, he got a cup of coffee making the league minimum, whatever that was, in the late 80s with the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, Larry Bird, who was an absolute ultimate trash talker, says to Pritchard, I'll play you in a game of horse for our salaries, for our paychecks.
Whoa.
And Pritchard, who's making the league minimum, could have gotten, rich if he'd won.
What a gutsy move from Bird.
He says to Larry Bird, because I can't afford to lose a paycheck. He's making the league minimum, Well, they go to Larry Bird's locker, and a bunch of paychecks fall out of the locker, totaling millions of dollars. And Kevin's telling me this, and he's like, I'd like to have taken a little stronger look at those checks. So what's interesting, Larry Bird was once the Indiana Pacers head coach, and now Kevin Pritchard is their GM. How about that?
Yeah, and I'm doing some research here. He deserves a lot of credit. He's made a lot of really good moves.
He has.
To reconstruct this Pacer roster, traded for Siakam, traded for Halliburton, traded for Toppin, traded for Aaron Nesmith. He also drafted Nembhard, Mathurin, Shepard out of Belmont. So you've got two really good front offices. Of course, Pritchard leading the Pacers. And then is it Telly? What's his last name with the Thunder? Forgetting the Presti, Sam Presti. That's
Sam
right.
Presti is a brilliant GM.
Yeah, and his story is really interesting. So, yeah, I mean, it pays to have really good front offices, and you're seeing that now. Jeff chimes in. Joe B. Hall said Larry Bird was too slow to play at Kentucky.
Bird, if I remember correctly, initially signed with Indiana and didn't particularly like
the culture.
I don't think he was wild about Bobby Knight, and he bolted.
And instead went to Indiana State.
Yeah. And, when I was a freshman in college, I guess, 78 finals were Magic versus Larry Bird. Indiana State, the Hick from French Lick, against Flint, Michigan, Magic Johnson. And I will always believe that college basketball went to a new level.
Is that the peak of college basketball?
Well, I mean, there were some great times. Kentucky,
I can't think of anything that comes close to Magic and Bird going at it. At the college level. I mean, yeah, you've seen, Kentucky, Kansas, Chalmers was that Memphis? That was Memphis.
Take it back.
Kansas, Memphis.
That was 79 that they played each other. 78 was Kentucky and Duke when Goose Givens exploded for 41. Anyway, you think about it, Billy, right after that bonanza for NBC, Bird versus Magic, you had a pretty amazing run over the next 5-6 years. You had Valvano win a national title.
Yeah.
You had Hoya Paranoia. You had Villanova shooting 79% in the second half of a game at Rupp Arena to beat Georgetown in a title game. It was really a pretty cool era for college basketball. Whether it's the best or not, it's up to other people to decide. But it was a great era.
I mean, I just wonder how many other national titles can compete with the level of intrigue as Bird versus Magic.
Pretty good stuff. And then it went on to play out on the pro level. just as strongly,
Right.
if not even stronger. By the way,
Crazy.
if you're looking for anything on that, when ESPN goes 30 for 30, the Celtics-Laker one is one of the all-time best they've ever put out there. I know we got to go to the break. Jeff Fisher will join us. We've got several things to talk with him about, including the Cats playoff game Sunday in Clarksville. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Can't watch the race? We got you.
I can't believe it!
NASCAR lives on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Whether it's 102.5 The Game, 94.9 The Fan, or Sports Talk 830, you can hear it all. Just check theGameNashville.com for the full schedule. NASCAR lives here. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Listen on the air.
So don't tell me to chill out.
On the web at theGameNashville.com.
This team has strategically put themselves back in the mix.
Watch us on YouTube or download the Game Nashville app.
You have to make those plays.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Save big at the Electronic Express 4th of July sale with huge deals in every department. Get cooking this summer with this Traeger grill, just $4.99. Or watch your favorite movies on this LG 55-inch smart TV, only $279. At Electronic Express, the more you buy, the more you save. Shop now and save up to an additional $1,200 on all appliances. 24 months interest-free financing? We've got that too. Shop in store or at electronicexpress.com.
This summer, the Legends of the West invite you to the Buffaloville Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming. 5 museums come alive with timeless Western art, heroic tales, and native cultures. Experience live birds of prey, crackling chuck wagon dinners, and behind-the-scenes adventures. Just 50 miles from Yellowstone's East Gate, our doors open wide to explorers young and old. One ticket grants you 2 days, enough time to let curiosity lead the way. Visit centerofthewest.org.
You enjoy the thrill of gambling, but what happens when it becomes a problem? Whether you want to cut back or quit gambling altogether, the Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling for over 2 decades. We're here to help, not to judge. The Gambling Clinic is a Tennessee-based clinic offering in-person and telehealth support to help people win back their life. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Brought to you by the Gambling Clinic, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Earlier on Clinton and Friends. Rafael Devers goes to the Giants. This is an abrupt and awkward end to a saga that, quite frankly, I did not see the light at the tunnel of, but I did not expect this at all. Rafi challenged that franchise to indicate what their plan is for who they think they are. And if you're a Red Sox fan right now, I mean, has the world changed since you last won the World Series?
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Jeff Fisher coming up next. Lots of good stuff to get into with Jeff Fisher. But first, stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going NBA today. Chet Holmgren is shooting 35% from the field in the finals, the lowest shooting percentage from a center in the NBA Finals. Which center's record is he currently beating? A little hint? You love to say this player's name in an impression.
Oh, gosh. Could this be Rick Pitino saying, Robert Parrish is not walking through that door?
It's not Robert Parrish, no.
Okay. Well, I've done a lot of Marv Albert, giving it the Patrick Ewing and the Nets.
You might be somewhere there.
We'll put it up there then. Say hello to Patrick Ewing.
It is Patrick Ewing.
You know, Billy, when Patrick Ewing came out of college, he was deadly from 4 feet and in. And to watch the transition that guy made to take his game out to the 17-foot area where he made a living, it's one of the most amazing transitions I have ever seen a player make. Because in college, that had no chance of happening.
He started to hit the jump shot.
Give that guy a lot of credit because he realized when he got in the pros, there's some other people that can do everything I can do, and maybe some of them can do it better.
I miss that era of I wasn't alive, of course, but I wish, because you see highlights all the time, and you lived it with Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, and Karl Malone was a lot like that too. Charles Barkley, where that style of play is really pretty non-existent now.
Do you realize it was on this Friday 31 years ago? The OJ chase.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
You talk about something that doesn't feel real.
And the whole country that was watching this on TV, and NBC had a decision to make, and they split screened Patrick Ewing and the Knicks in the NBA Finals against the Houston Rockets at Madison Square Garden with the chase. They didn't know what to do. Anyway, enough of that. Let's say hello to the commissioner of the Arena Football League, I think it's
AF1.
AF1. I never say it right, but he's also the former coach of the Tennessee Titans. And of course, he is Jeff Fisher, and he joins us for a second Friday in a row. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. You brought, I was, since the break I was on, and what a great segment, what a great discussion, and brought back some memories. I was like, where was I when that Bronco was going down the 405? And I remember exactly, I was in Colorado. We had kids out, we were riding a horseback ride in Colorado. We came in, it's a hot day, and ended up watching that. And then the earlier question, George, I also provoked some of my thoughts about, who had a worse shooting percentage. I thought you were going to bring me. I think you were leading into me. I think you're going to bring me in my junior high school horse games, stuff like that. Because I couldn't find the rim. I was a bad basketball player. But anyway, yeah, everything's good, man. We got some stuff going on here the next couple of days. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So let's start with the playoff game in Clarksville. I was up there last Saturday. You had a really nice crowd. What does Sunday look like?
Sunday's going to outdo what you were able to witness in person last weekend. I think, we got a lot of stuff going on. I think that's a good draw. We've really got them behind them. It's just started snowballing all week, especially, after, our game. And then when Salina ended up winning that game against Southwest Texas, and we knew we were going to host, and, things got crazy. So the mayor's been absolutely wonderful up there. They're going to have a kind of a festival-like tailgate with entertainment and beer and all kinds of stuff. By the way, there's going to be some special beer there we'll talk about in a moment. But so they're going to do a lot of pregame festivities. So we got a 4:00 kickoff, man. So Southwest Kansas, and this is this is the equivalent of a championship game. You go in, you win this, and you go to the bowl. So a lot of pressure on both teams, and then but we'll know what's happening because Albany is hosting Salina tomorrow late afternoon, early evening, and so we'll know what happens there. If Albany wins that one, then and the Cats were to win, then the Cats will be playing the championship in Albany the following week. If Albany doesn't win and Salina wins, then Cats host, provided they win, next week. Guess where? F&M Bank Arena. So that's right. So we got a lot. There's a lot going on right now, and so excited about the way things finished up. You saw it. It was really a great event last week, just similar to where it was when we had it up there last year. So anyway, we got a healthy team, and yeah, we got a lot going on. So 4:30 kickoff, 2:00 festivities across the street, and and then we'll see what happens.
So Jeff, I'm laughing because I guess fairly late in my sports talk world, I really got to know Darrell Waltrip. And Darrell and I have laughed over the years. He knows absolutely that I don't know the first thing about auto racing and have faked my way when I've had to through it, but love Darrell Waltrip. So the story is out there as of a couple of hours ago that you all have reached an agreement as well as a, let's go, ownership group, a strategic partnership with Michael Waltrip and Michael Waltrip Brewing. How does that happen?
Well, this thing kind of fell into place. Just a couple days ago, we had some individuals working on our behalf. Namely, one of them is Bobby DeVorsny. He's our CEO. He had a relationship with somebody, and they just kind of sat down at a table and got it all worked out. It was kind of, anytime you get deals that are put together like this, it's going to be good for both sides. So, Michael Waltrip and, the brewery and everything associated with that really understands the potential, I think, and we're part of, at least they got to witness bits and pieces of what we were able to do last week, and they're excited about, this coming game. And so, yeah, it's going to be a long-term relationship that's going to be good for both sides.
And the Michael Waltrip beer, y'all are going to sell?
That is correct. That will be featured in the stadium, as well as, my understanding, is outside during the pregame festivities.
Nice combo package there. I like it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And, it's going to be warm. So, obviously the event's inside, but if, people need to cool off, there'll be refreshments.
So let's talk a little bit about where you go once this playoff is over, because it's obvious that you've got some big plans for expanding this league's reach. Jeff, kind of take me, what's the first one or two things you will do as a commissioner once the season's over?
Well, we'll get together with the rest of the management group. We talk almost every day, and we'll try to wrap up several of the new franchises that will be joining AF1 next year. We've got, numerous that we're working through the paperwork right now. So we'll get those on board, and we'll start the onboarding process, and then, we'll continue with that process. And then, we'll be settled. Last off season obviously was really unsettled. This one is not. It's going to continue. So we'll be out, doing the normal things, the sponsorship, the league-wide sponsorship, helping the other clubs, member clubs, with their sponsorships and those things. So we may take a week off or two and then get back right at it. And we'll keep everybody posted. But it's going to be next year's going to be a lot different than this year. This year we really were excited. I mean, it was a tough go to start, especially here with the Cats, considering the ownership change. But we got that settled, and the Cats got caught on fire, if you will, and so they're there. Certainly, this was a great market, and we'll be adding teams to AF1, and we're going to continue to work on our relationships with the officiating department. And so it's just kind of it'll be one giant step in the 5-year plan, and it's going to take place over the next 3 or 4 months.
Jeff, what number of teams would you like to have in a perfect world?
Well, I mean, I think eventually, I think we got to be careful and jump in achieving a number. If I give you a number and say, like right now, George, it's 12. Well, it's because I think we can handle 12. But in time, I mean, we could go as far as you want, provided that everybody understands and the league is what we think it's going to be. So, but I would think next year, if we got in that 12 to maybe 14 range, I think it would be significant growth for the league. And then, if that happens, then I would think you would see significant change after that, meaning, another 6 or 8 teams.
So I want to get your theory based on maybe my theory. The reason I think you're having more success in Clarksville, it's the game in town. Austin Peay's not in football. They're not in basketball. The Cats are the sporting event right now in Clarksville, where here, when they first came here, they were the thing, but now they're fighting through a lot of different stuff to get their market share. With kind of that knowledge, does that change the kind of city you want to go to?
Well, I mean, as far as the big picture with the other clubs, I mean, the intimacy is kind of what you're looking for. Yeah, because once you get out there, as you say, I mean, Nashville, you know, George, you and I both know, I mean, we met at the same time. We've seen Nashville just, you know, jump out of its shoes since you and I met from a sports standpoint. And I mean, and that's great. I mean, it really is. There's a lot of different things you can do here now. And so, you know, there's only, you know, the apple's only so big and you can only have so many bites out of it, you know? And so if that's the case and we continue down that path, I think you could see us playing the majority of our games up there. Certainly don't want to, you know, just altogether, you know, pack up and leave, because there's a great fan base here and the experience is here. And Municipal has been a really good partner for us. And mind you, we were just under 4,000 people the last time we were at Municipal. So it's nice to have options. I'll say that.
Okay. You know where we're broadcasting from in this Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. You've been out here before, done live shows in the past. It is basically a rock throw from where your old training camp was, where your facility in Bellevue was, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I know exactly. Yeah.
You know where this is going.
Move, kick dirt around. Huh?
You've told some funny stories about what all that was like in those trailers out in Bellevue. You told one recently about having to go across the street to get a game tape filmed, kind of stuff. Jeff, did you know going in that coming out to Bellevue was going to be this big a challenge?
Well, I don't. No, I mean, I didn't. You really can't anticipate how big a challenge relocating a franchise is the first time around. Now, I've done it twice, so I get it. But the first time was difficult, and it was, you know, there was a lot of distractions and a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of people helped us to get through it. And so, you know, you just have to, you know, when you're going through difficulties, man, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, just roll your sleeves up and go. It makes no sense to complain about it or anything, but we had some challenges out there, but they turned out being great memories. You know, I mean, you know, the moment that you referred to, there's a lot more to it. I mean, I had to run back, sprint it over the fence with the tape. Felt like, what's Steve Martin and the Jerk saying the new phone book's here, and I'm running across the parking lot because I got a game tape that I was looking for. And go in the building and no one's there. They're all in the hard brick building because we got tornadoes coming. You know, it's just like, and just because we didn't have a pro scouting department, we didn't have access to all the games, and you know, and so I needed this tape, man. I needed to see if Boomer Esiason, more specifically, was going to a no huddle, hurry up, or if he was on rhythm. You know, just using the normal play clock. And the only way I had two options. One was to go to a game, couldn't. I think we were in Dallas, that week, and then the other was to find a way to get someone to copy the tape. So I had the local bar owner agree to do it. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's we wouldn't have gone to the Super Bowl had I not got that tape. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff you got to do. That's stuff you got to deal with.
So you've heard me say this. Over the years, number one, before you all ever got here, I was really wary that we were going to deal in the locker room with a bunch of jerks. And instead, it was totally the opposite. And I've said this, I said it to Eddie George a couple of weeks ago. I believe it is the single best locker room in NFL history as far as good human beings, good people. Now, I can't prove what I'm saying, but I know it was a really good locker room. If it had not been that caliber of person, how would this whole thing have turned out back then?
Well, I wouldn't have allowed it. I mean, I that's the most important part of your team is your locker room and developing the locker room. And everybody talks about it now. And you've heard me say this before. I mean, people refer to it, oh, it's a family. Oh, we got a family going on in there. Well, guess what? Good luck. Most families are freaking, dysfunctional. I don't want to hear about family. I'm going to tell you what a locker room's like, And so we did. We got the right commend Floyd, man, and we got the right group of personalities and the right things. Even the difficult things happened at the right time. They were learning opportunities, and they were the things that brought this team closer together. And so these guys have been through everything you can imagine, every off the field distraction possible. And so, on top of that, we were putting together a pretty good team. But, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, the transition and the move and all those things, that it had a lot to do with the development of the personality, the guys in the building. We wouldn't tolerate anybody complaining. Just don't complain. Just do your job. Why don't you help somebody else out, while you're at it? So that's and then we got that combination of personalities, and the rest was as it was.
It was a pretty cool experience, Billy. I don't know if Jeff knows this, but when they're going to Indy to play in the playoffs, when Eddie George has the run late in the game that seals it, 2 nights before that, we're in Indy doing the show, and I want to go to, at the time, Conseco Fieldhouse. Indiana Pacers against a Lakers team that's got like a 28-game consecutive winning streak. And so it's the same arena now with a different name, but it's not the first time that the Titans have gotten me to another venue somewhere in a city where they were playing. Say hello to Jeff Fisher.
Jeff, appreciate you taking the time as always. I want to ask you, going back to the Super Bowl in 1999, and obviously, you guys didn't get it done, but what did you learn reflecting after that season was over? Because it probably felt, and for a lot of people, just you get there, but you don't get it done, and it's so almost can feel so fragile getting there but not getting it done. What did you learn about what it took to get there, and I guess kind of taking that to where the Titans are at now? How far away do you feel as if they may be?
Well, Billy, good questions. The big thing for us back then is the concern going into the playoff part of the 99 season was that we might have had 1 or 2 guys that had ever been in the playoffs before. So our roster was largely compiled of people that didn't know what it was like. And so it was a matter of them understanding, how the game steps up once the regular season's over and what that's like. And as a staff, I felt like, the hardest one we were going to have was going to be the first one. Because once we got by the first one, if we were fortunate to win the first one, there was no telling what was going to happen. And obviously we kept the first one pretty exciting at the end. So going up there, but the big thing, overall, with respect to Super Bowls, that was the last time that we had 1 week between the championship game and the Super Bowl. So Billy, that actually happened. That happened often, like every 3 or 4 years. So can you imagine winning the championship game in Jacksonville at 6 p.m. and then flying back to Nashville, knowing that you've got to turn around the next morning and go to prepare for the Super Bowl because it's a week away. So that was a challenge in itself. I mean, people don't realize this. I went down on Monday with the team, left the staff behind so we could do the press stuff and get settled down there. And the coaches stayed behind the game plan. They came in on Tuesday night, and we put the game plan in on Wednesday, and we kicked it off on Sunday. So it was all football. It was all business. But, you can imagine the challenges with the players and the tickets and the hotels and the families and it goes on and on and on. It was a blur. So when it was all said and done, you regroup, you sort it all out, you figure out, how it went down, what you need to do to take that next step. And then in 2000, the very next year, even after losing Steve for several weeks and all the things that went along with our Super Bowl starting quarterback from the year before, we had a better team. So we had a week off in the playoffs. So I had a better team in 2000. So we knew what we needed to do, but we didn't get it done. We ball bounced really, really weird in the first playoff game. One off of Eddie George's shoulder pad, and the other, we punts it, we blocked it, went sideways out of bounds, and Baltimore ended up winning the Super Bowl. So, I mean, there's, it's a long-winded answer to your question. The Titans aren't there yet. I think there's the arrow's trending up, and anything can happen, especially with how, depending on how Cam starts the season. But this is not all Cam. Okay, you can't do it alone. Cam's in position. I think basically everything we know about him, he should be that guy when it starts. He's not one of those guys that needs the extra time. Remind yourself that Patrick Mahomes sat his whole first year. So times have changed. The kid's going to be good, but we just wait and see what kind of job, how much success they had filling in and replacing some of the weaknesses on the roster with potential strengths.
Billy, did you notice how quick he was able to tell you where he was when the OJ chase happened?
Yeah.
Jeff, we used to have a golf tournament here, the Bell South Senior Classic, before you all came to town, and people like Lee Trevino and Gary Player played in it, and it was out at Opryland at their golf course. And I remember we had a lightning delay that made us, we were going to do the show outside, but they made us go inside to a shelter area where the golf carts were stored. And that's when I first learned there's a chase going on, and it's crazy. Jeff, isn't it amazing? You and I both know exactly where we were.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I think if you ask most people, at least in sports, I mean, back then that was the only thing going. It was a big deal.
Oh,
it was
crazy.
a huge deal. It was a tragedy, and it was just really, really sad. And but sometimes crazy things happen, man, and it's not always in sports. But this one was, one of those things that people remember. And there's a lot of great things. I mean, we remember we all make the choice, and there's a lot of highlights out there too. But this was a really unique situation, especially because it was televised.
Yeah. Thank you. Good luck Sunday. Appreciate you coming on.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. I hope to see you guys up there.
Bingo.
Thanks, Coach.
Look forward to it. Jeff Fisher joining us to talk Cats on the field, Cats off the field.
Big opportunity.
So the OJ thing was 94. Is that right?
1994.
1994. So we're talking 31 years ago, right about now, on the Friday around the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Dang, that is crazy.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that happened.
After the break, Chip Walters, MTSU play-by-play voice, will join us, and then we'll open up the phones, and feel free to go ahead and jump in. I know a lot of you are headed home right now. You're doing a lot of things, getting excited for the weekend, but drop a phone call in for us. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933 is our number. Red-blooded Americans who've got something on their mind, want to hear from you. Chip Walters first, then your phone calls on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Are you ready to begin? Trevecca Nazarene University. From calling to becoming.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
To protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. They don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
You know what? I've decided I'm going to have some fun with this question because I had not thought about it for a long time. Let's bring Chip Walters to our microphones because he will participate in this silly little game that we're going to play. Hello, Chipper.
Hello, George. And by the way, kudos on the bump music, throwing some Eagles out there today on this Friday. That's very nice.
Because as you know, Chip, you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave.
You can never leave. That's correct.
Where were you when the OJ chase started?
Oh boy. Well, that the anniversary of that was this week on the 17th.
And it was basically on a Friday.
It was, and
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that the Bell South Senior Open
Yes.
was going on at Opryland, and I had been out there with a couple of buddies of mine, and we had taken a Friday afternoon and went and watched some senior golf, a little Lee Trevino, a little Chichi Rodriguez, that kind of thing, a little Fuzzy Zeller. And after the golf, we retreated to a 19th hole in downtown area.
Okay.
And that's where we were when the chase broke out, and I was at the time when I lived over by McCabe, and it all broke out. So everybody had just kind of quit doing whatever they were doing and paying attention. So I actually got home and watched the end of the chase from my house. So there you go.
It was unbelievable. And I've always thought that OJ never dreamed that one of those helicopters would be, whoa, that's him. That he never dreamed that would happen.
That's correct. And George, I've got another, not that was a sports anniversary, but one that you will find that it comes near to your heart coming up in about 2 weeks.
Oh, I know where you're going.
It will be the 40th anniversary of the Rick Camp game, and I was there.
Okay, so Billy, you may not quite know what he's talking about.
I do.
Braves, Mets, 4th of July. The Braves are horrible. And
Rick
the deal
Taylor
is,
against Doc Gooden that night.
yeah, and they had about a 3-hour rain delay to start the game. So it doesn't start until about 9:30 Nashville time. I get home from the fireworks show downtown, and by 10:30, I'm doing what I normally did, turning on my favorite baseball team. I went to sleep 4th, 5th inning because there was a second rain delay, if I remember correctly. And
There was a second rain delay.
they decided to continue playing, and I woke up about 4 a.m, and I had left the TV on in the den, and boy, was I shocked. They're still playing.
At 4?
So you were there that night. Take us through a couple of memories.
Well, a couple of memories were that during the first, about 2 hours into the first rain delay, we were out on the concourse, probably near aisle 119 where the Kroger hot seat was.
Yes.
If you remember at Fulton County, that'll bring back some memories. But
oh God,
actually ran in. I was a senior in college. Ran into some friends out who were actually there. Didn't know they were going to be there. A couple of friends from Tullahoma, and they ended up leaving and got home and watched the majority of the game on TV at home after I'd already run into them at the ballpark. So there's that. There was obviously the Rick Camp home run in the 18th inning that tied the game was incredible. Then you had the Mets scored in the top of the 19th. Braves didn't score. Game's over. And they still had the fireworks show that started at about 4:30 in the morning. And after that, the actual city ordinance in Atlanta changed after that game of when you could fire fireworks. The other part of that, and you've seen the picture that I have with me and Murph.
Oh, sure.
Standing in front of the dugout. And that picture was taken on July 5th, the next day. And you can see in the background, the way we're positioned, you can see Nakahoma's tent in the background. And you remember the old matrix board that went along the
and the left field line
for deck. And what is so, to me, it is hilarious. And I actually got to see Murph actually sign this picture for me a couple of years ago. And he and I had a conversation about this picture because, as you well know, his religious status is
Mormon.
He is probably the greatest Mormon Major League Baseball player ever. And in the background on the matrix board, and you can read it in my photo, it says, "Welcome to Mormon Night at Fulton County Stadium." So to me, that's just one of those little nuggets.
Yeah.
That weekend trip, just a little extra, and especially getting to talk to him what turned out to be 38 years later. And the way he signed the photo, he goes, "Dear Chip, we survived July 4th, 1985, Dale Murphy." So
he is a Hall of Fame human being. I hope he gets in the Hall.
Yeah.
It's going to be close. Anyway, tell me about what's going on.
By the way, real quick, before you go into that, did you happen to see the picture on social media the other day? He and Steve Bedrosian both have grandkids that play on the same T-ball team.
Oh my goodness. No, I had not seen that.
I saw that. It was like last week when I saw that, but there you go.
Talk about feeling old. Yeah. So tell me what's going on with Middle.
Well, next week is the annual Blue Raider Blitz, which is about this year. It's going to be 5 stops in 4 days. It'll start on Monday from 11:30 to 1 at the fountains in the Gateway in Murfreesboro. We have an event then on Tuesday night. It is in a special room, and I don't have I do have the name of it. It's in the Smashville meeting room at Bridgestone Arena, which is kind of a big, big convention room. And there will be, in those settings, it will be Coach Derek Mason, Coach Nick McDevitt, Coach Rick Insel, and numerous other head coaches, along with Chris Massaro. And one of the things we do in Nashville, we take advantage of our opportunities to get with a lot of our media friends. And you've been at this before. This year, my broadcast partner, Joe Dubin, and Blue Raider alum Chris Childers, who is on with Rick Neuheisel every day on Sirius XM. Chris is a middle grad, and they're going to be part of our media panel where we talk to the coaches, not only about their teams and stuff, but the state of college athletics and where does Middle fit in, all that kind of stuff. It's been really, really good in the past several years, but we invite fans to come out to that. The thing about this stop in Nashville, it'll be from 5:30 till about 7:30 Tuesday night. And there is a $15 ticket. Now, here's the critical part. Today is the deadline. There's a link on goblueraiders.com where you can go purchase your ticket. It does include parking inside the Bridgestone Arena garage. So you can't park anywhere in Nashville for $15, but you get parking, you get food, and you get the fun night with the coaches on Wednesday. So you need to take care of that today. The deadline is today to get your tickets for that for $15. All the other ones are free. Wednesday will be in Tullahoma, 11:30 to 1 at the Ascend Federal Credit Union headquarters. Had a great crowd there last year. Wednesday evening will be in Shelbyville at the Blue Ribbon Circle Club on the Celebration Grounds. And then Thursday for lunch at the Smyrna Event Center. So that'll be 11:30 to 1. So that's the week next week. It is a blitz. It's 5 stops in 4 days. And it's a great time to get out and you get, for fans, it's a real great opportunity for some one-on-one time with the coaches and just have a big time.
Chipper, this was good info. Appreciate it. July 4th, 1985. Great memory.
How about that? People can't even realize I'm that old. It's amazing. So
You are. I am.
thank you, George. I really appreciate it, and I hope young William has a great weekend.
Ditto.
You too, Chip.
Same to you. Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.
Chip Walters is MTSU's play-by-play voice. More importantly for me, he's a really good friend, and I thank him for joining us. I want to ask Clay on line 1 to hang with me. You will lead off the phone calls after we come back. Secondly, I'm going to have some fun with this. I did not think about this going into the show, but this is the weekend 31 years ago that the OJ chase happened. It was on a Friday. It was June 17th of 94. Today is today the 20th?
Yep.
It was on a Friday. Where were you? Do you have a memory that you want to share? Because it's amazing to me how many people remember exactly where they were. 615-553-0933. You don't have to participate in that. Whatever you want to talk about in the world of sports, we'll do it on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, yeah.
Good one.
The talk on the street, it sounds so familiar. Okay, we're going to have a little fun in this final segment. By the way, look it up if you can. ESPN, if I remember correctly, did a 5-part, 10-hour deal on the OJ thing that was unbelievable several years ago.
Okay.
And I remember
Made in America, a 5-part 30 for 30 documentary series.
Yeah. Okay, Clay in Nashville, get us started.
Hey, George, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine. Hello, Billy.
What's up, Clay?
George, I remember where I was. So this
Okay.
was June 17 of 94, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was dating a girl at the time. I was 33 years old. We were at her parents' house, and we watched the whole thing.
It was love at first sight. I didn't expect that answer. Tell me what.
Anyway,
tell me what you really called for.
So the final starts tomorrow. Talking about Omaha, LSU, Coastal Carolina. And where I'm normally, would be an SEC guy, I'm actually pulling for Coastal Carolina. People better realize that this is a really good baseball team. I mean, I don't care if you're playing what conference you're playing in. 26 in a row is 26 in a row. So they have the potential to win 28 in a row in a national, title. So that's pretty amazing. What do y'all think about as far as the pitching matchups? Because that's what's been talked about is how strong Coastal's pitching is, and they kind of got the advantage as far as rest too, because they played Sunday and then they didn't have to play until Wednesday, and then they don't have to play till they will have played one game in the last 6 days, whereas LSU played on Monday and then had to complete a game on Tuesday and then beat Arkansas on Wednesday. So I think Coastal has a big advantage, as far as rest, I would think, and probably the matchups too.
You would think so. And I think Coastal is going to win the series, but you do wonder if there's a rest versus rust on bullpen guys that are used to working every other day or every third day. And all of a sudden, I'm assuming they've had some like inter squad scrimmage kind of stuff to
live ABs.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's going to be fun. I think Coastal Carolina is going to win it.
I think LSU wins. I would rather have Coastal win, Clay, but you talk about the pitching matchups. Game 1 is probably one of the better pitching matchups we've seen in Omaha. Cade Anderson's going for LSU, Cameron Flukie for Coastal Carolina. Both those guys' ERAs are in the 3s. Anderson, you saw what he did against Arkansas, what he's capable of. Flukie's really good as well. And then you still got Ianson for LSU, Jacob Morrison for Coastal, Riley Eichhoff. So if they get to a game 3, I think Coastal may have the advantage with Eichhoff on the bump, because who knows who LSU goes with. But, I would rather see Coastal win. I unfortunately think LSU is going to win.
What about, Billy, what do you think about the hiring of Jason Esposito as Vandy's hitting coach?
I like it. And credit George. That was one of the names that he mentioned a few days ago when we brought this up. He's young. He's been in the Guardians organization for 8 years. He's been their assistant hitting coach for 3 years. I think it's a good hire. Now, he hasn't done anything yet. They needed younger. They needed more energy. They needed a guy that was a proven good hitting coach, and that seems to be what Esposito is. But, George, more importantly, he's a Tim Corbin guy. Corbin recruited him. He played under Tim. I like it.
I hope it works. It'd be a cool reunion.
Guys, have a great weekend.
Clay, thank you. Let's go to Smyrna. Frank, where were you when the OJ thing happened?
George and Billy, this is going to just shock the daylights out of you. I was in Atlanta at the old Fulton County Stadium watching the Braves and the Cincinnati Reds, and the Reds absolutely tattooed Tom Glavine in the first inning that night. I believe it was Glavine pitching.
Wow.
For about 8 runs. All I remember is it was 16-0 after the 7th inning. And I was so mad that the adult beverage I was drinking didn't even taste good anymore. And I told my buddy, let's forget this. Let's go to the bar or something. So we went to Buckhead, because Buckhead was the in spot back then, and it may still be. I don't know. But anyway, we go at a bar there, and everybody is just stone silent and mesmerized watching the OJ chase. And before next thing I knew, we were glued to it as well. And I wish I could remember the name of the bar in Buckhead, but I just also remember George sitting at the Braves game. And back then, you remember cell phones were a novelty at best. Only your really rich people had them, so to speak. I mean, and they were these big old things that looked like walkie-talkies. I'm sure you remember.
Motorola jobbies. I had one.
Yeah.
It was a freebie for sponsoring somebody. I don't remember who it was.
Well, all I remember is, besides that Braves game, after it got to be about 13-0 in like the 5th inning, was some guy on a cell phone was like, OJ's doing what? You know, and he was sitting on the row behind me, and you know, everybody's like, what? What's going on in L.A.? And and I also remember the Summer Olympics were going on, if I'm not mistaken. During, I could be wrong. Maybe it was the NBA Finals. I think it was the NBA Finals going on during the OJ chase, and sitting at that bar, they had a split screen. The WSB there in Atlanta had a split screen. Had part of it the NBA game, part of it the OJ chase. It was it was wild. I won't soon forget it. I was a student at UT Martin at the time, going into my senior year. So just crazy. Just never forget it. And you know, I remember being glued to the trial after as it was happening. You know, in communication, law, and ethics class, that was a big topic. You know, that year following, you know, all that. But anyway, George, our Braves, you know, quietly won 6 out of 7, and if they seem to own the Mets. They swept them. They needed it. We needed it, George. Really, all Braves fans needed it. The Braves especially needed it. And Jeff in Murfreesboro was right yesterday, and I appreciate the shout out, my friend. Back at you.
Hey,
about therapy and all that.
Thank you for the call,
George. Thank you for letting me talk. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay cool.
You too. Right on cue. Jeff in Murfreesboro, you're up next.
How's it going, guys? I just want to say, George, you were talking about that game in '85. We'll never have games like that again because of the hurry-up society. We'll never have them. We'll never have 19-inning games and 5.5 hours or whatever. It'll never happen again because we got to put a runner at second, pitch clock, and all this mess. It'll never happen in baseball. The memories of that night will never, in 40 years, July 4th ago, first be in the Hall of Fame. No. He's not. No, he's not. I mean, it'll be a Hall pretty good if he gets in there. No. He's not good enough just because he won one NBA title. He shouldn't be in. I mean, if you want to do that, I don't know, I can think of a minor Cub, put him in or something. I don't know. I mean, put someone else. I don't know. But and as far as Coastal, I hope they beat LSU. I know Billy's for the SEC. He wants to see LSU win. He's an SEC.
I'd rather see Coastal win.
LSU's pitching and all that stuff for, but no, I hope Coastal does win. But we'll never have games like that, George, because you want to hurry up society. So y'all have a good one, guys.
Hurry up society.
Well, I'll say this. When that game ended at about 4:30 in the morning, Nashville time.
That's ridiculous.
A hurry-up society might not have been a bad thing. Go back and show me. You had a picture you were using of old Atlanta Stadium, which has unbelievable memories for me growing up because my baseball life grew up in that stadium.
What was the capacity there?
Right at 50. It was one of these old horseshoe, old donut shape kind of things. So, Billy, look in the upper deck, right behind home plate in the upper deck, 5 rows up. The Braves and the Twins in the World Series. That was my seat.
Wow.
For game 4 of the World Series. And you know who sung the national anthem? A Nashvillian.
Vince Gill.
Bingo. Then a year later, the Braves play the Pirates in the playoffs. And you can't really see it, but down the left field line, in other words, out in the outfield, I am on the top row of the upper deck, as high up as you can get.
I like those outfield seats.
And the late, great Jim Fike, Metro Parks and Recreations for years, turns to his wife and says, "The blimp is closer than we are," and then looks over at me and goes, "Baby." And I turned to him and I said, "You're lucky to have gotten in here at all."
Sounds like you to
So go ahead and flash that picture closer again. Okay. So the night that Jim Leyritz hit the home run that essentially set in motion, depriving the Braves of a second World Series in 96, Willie and I had scarfed 2 tickets right behind home plate that for some reason were empty about 15 rows up in one of those 2 sections right behind home plate. And when Leyritz hit it, I said something that you can't say on the air.
I can only imagine.
We'll go to the break on that. Plaster bet of the day, and it's a big one, is coming up next on 94.9 The Fan.
Can't watch the race? We got you.
I can't believe it.
NASCAR lives on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Whether it's 102.5 The Game, 94.9 The Fan, or Sports Talk 830, you can hear it all. Just check theGameNashville.com for the full schedule. NASCAR lives here. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Your Atlanta Braves are celebrating family freedom and fun June 27th through July 6th when the Phillies, Angels, and Orioles all come to Truist Park. There are 2 kids giveaways during the homestand, including a Spencer Strider growth chart and a blinged out A-chain. Fans can also look forward to an epic fireworks show on July 4th and a post-game concert on July 5th featuring popular music artist Chris Tomlin, presented by Chick-fil-A. Head to Braves.com/promos to check out the fun. Atlanta Braves baseball. Tennessee is Braves country.
Duck River Raceway Park is turning up the heat this summer. June 21st, weekly racing continues with 365 super late models. Then celebrate freedom with horsepower July 3rd through 6th during the Independence Day special, including open practice, $1,500 to win super late models, and the 5K to win Summer Nationals. Get in on the dirt slinging action where the South comes to race. Duck River Raceway Park.
This summer, the Legends of the West invite you to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming. 5 museums come alive with timeless Western art, heroic tales, and native cultures. Experience live birds of prey, crackling chuck wagon dinners, and behind-the-scenes adventures. Just 50 miles from Yellowstone's East Gate, our doors open wide to explorers young and old. 1 ticket grants you 2 days, enough time to let curiosity lead the way. Visit centerofthewest.org.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I don't know that every team in the NBA wants LeBron James on their team. I don't understand how we can even assume that. If we are going to sit here and question whether or not the Spurs and the Rockets believe that KD fits their timeline, how exactly do they think LeBron fits the timeline?
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Friday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look at the results from last night. A couple of wins.
Oh, yeah.
The Pacers plus 6.5. That worked easily. And then the Braves swept the Mets. Take that, Willie.
So for those of you who can't see this graphic, we are now 111, 112, and 5. 1 game under 500. So I am going to pick 1 game this weekend to get us back to dead even. And
big.
That bet is Oklahoma City.
To cover 8?
Why? Because most of the games that have been in OKC have had
dominant.
that team get out to double-digit leads. Now, game 1, they gagged, and that has set in motion a long playoff series. But all those people who thought it was going to be a sweep, I never thought that. And I said that before it was ever played. Indiana's too good for that. But in the end, OKC is better. They've got the home crowd. And I hear all of this, oh, the momentum from one game to the other. I ain't buying it. OKC, minus the 8. Take them.
Come on, Pacers.
Yeah.
Pacer people unite.
Nice attitude on your end. Speaking of basketball, Casey Alexander sends me this text. Was finishing my work shift at the Maryland Farms YMCA when the OJ thing happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
Young Casey.
Young Casey, even then, was a Cubs fan. You know what? Casey's going to have more fun this year than I am.
I think he will.
I think he will,
even
too.
though they lost today.
I think they're really good. Okay, we're done. All of you, wherever you are this weekend, make it safe. We'll see you Monday on the show. Willie Donick will join us. See you Monday.